Greetings, everybody. Again, this is your favorite host, Ilona from ILONA TV, where stories change lives. Today, we want to welcome in our studio a very special guest. And why I love her, she absolutely nails one thing that I am obsessed about. She speaks the language of my heart, French. Her name is Karen, and she is a very inspiring TEDx speaker, international speaker, the author, and influencer of the Twin Cities here and also beyond this place as well. So we want to welcome to our studio, Karen. Just merci for coming to my studio.
Merci à toi. Okay.
So, ça va?
Oui, je vais bien. Et toi?
Ah, ça va bien. Merci, merci beaucoup. So today we're going to speak about your journey. First of all, what I gravitated about you, it's your journey, and we got connected because of the things that you were courageous enough, brave enough to do while you were in a turmoil. And we want to speak today about your story of the turmoil from your life and build up a little bit where you're heading right now. So please tell us about your story that made you a resilient woman that you are today.
Well, thank you for having me. So I guess the two defining moments of my life came, one when I got a divorce, and another came before that when my second daughter was born with a heart defect. And then after she had open heart surgery at 4 months old, 6 weeks later, she got cancer of the bone marrow. And these are things I never expected to happen. These are things that there's no way to prepare for. And while she was sick, while she was resuscitated 3 times, while we lived in Children's Hospital of Minnesota, I was just getting through the day and surviving. It was horrible. To any mother out there, you cannot imagine the horror of this. My tiny, tiny little baby. And it was while she was sick and going through that agony, I said to myself, you know what? God forbid, she dies, I am divorcing that man on the spot. I am taking my other daughter, Lilia, and I'm never looking back. That's what I said to myself. And she survived, thank God. And then when you take home a sick child from Children's Hospital, you don't go back to regular life. Your life is totally different. And there was no way to prepare for that either. On the one hand, it was great we weren't in the hospital anymore. On the other hand, it was horrible what we went home to. And it was years and years of being miserably married that I finally hit my breaking point. And I have to say, and this is part of my TEDx talk, I accidentally ran the Paris Marathon, and in 2011, accidentally, I never planned to do it, but I was there with my sister, and I figured I'll just run 13.1. I'll just do half. But if you've ever been in Paris and you know the marathon in Paris, it's a circle. There is no half. There's no just go halfway and then go back or anything like that. And when I got to Paris and we went and picked up our bibs and I saw the medal, which is this huge Eiffel Tower, I was like, I am not leaving here without this. I said that to myself and I ran the whole thing. It took 5.5+ hours, but I did it and I got that medal and I got on both cheeks at the end. This is how they kiss in Paris. And I just felt like if I can do that, I can do anything.
Yes.
And I came back to the US and I started the divorce proceedings, and within about a year I was divorced. And I can honestly say Paris herself did it, and I can honestly say that proving to myself that I can do extraordinary things did it. I did something with my body that really shook up my mind and my heart and said, what are you waiting for?
Yes.
Of course you can do this. I have a funny story. So I was living in Wilmette at the time, so north of Chicago, and I was at my gym in Evanston, and there was an older woman there. I don't know her name. I think she was originally from Italy. She spoke with a very thick accent. I only saw her in the locker room. And I saw her there, and I could tell, I was like, oh my God, I'm going through all this. She's like, how are you doing? And I'm like, not good. I'm going through a divorce. She said to me, you can do it. And I remember that forever. That's all she said to me. And I was like, this is wisdom of the ages.
Yes.
And I was like, don't forget that. Don't forget the kindness of the stranger reminding you, building you up, telling you, you can do this. I was like, yes, I can. Yes, I can. So.
And that's why we got connected with your story, because the devastation that you talked about, I'm like, yep, been there, done there. So the courage that you need to do that and leap of faith, it does take a courage, because people don't realize that before women divorce, they ran out of all of the options before they even come up to this conclusion. So it's a suffocation in a marriage that is the last straw that we do it. So it's not that we are giving up on the marriages and the families, not that we got getting married to do so. No, it's just such a devastating choice that women has to do it, and most people think that, oh, they're just maybe bratty, girls that want to just make somebody else's life miserable. No, we run out. We become such a bankrupt during this time, emotional and spiritual bankrupt, that we have absolutely nothing else left to give to our families and our husbands. And unfortunately, divorce becomes the only ultimate options for all of us in order for us to just simply strive or leave the next day. So how did you manage your divorce, and what was next chapter of your life?
So it was really hard because we were all living in the same house together. So he was told, no, do not move. That's abandoning the family or something like that. So we're in the same house, in separate rooms, living kind of separate lives. And as a mom, you hold it together for your children.
Yes.
You're like, I got to hold it together for my children. I've got to do what I can for them. And I kept going to work. I kept doing what I was supposed to do. And I kept going to my gym. Then I joined another gym. I was going to 2 gyms. It's very North Shore, Chicago. You go to one gym and another gym, okay? And I was going to the gym all the time. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I will do anybody fill me up with something good. Because going through that every day was like climbing a mountain. Like, I'm going to go through this conversation. I'm going to go through this thing. There was one moment where I'm like, maybe it's easier to just not do it, because it's so hard to go through it. And I was like, oh no. Yeah. And like you said, I thought about it for years. It took from the time Natalie was 1 until she was it's like 10 years.
Yep.
Thinking about it. Oh my gosh, this could happen.
Yes.
Oh no, that's not going to happen. Of course this is going to happen. Oh, how is this going to happen? And then finally, oh, this is happening. So it was such a long process. And so I just did my regular routines, the self-care that just kept me going. Mainly the gyms.
Yes.
Gyms. And mainly talking to my mother, who had gone through a divorce herself, and with my dad, and just like, I'm going to get through this. I'm going to get through this. And I did, and I decided, we were in Chicago at the time, I decided I am moving my kids back to Minnesota, where they were born, where they were from, and I rented a house sight unseen. This is the very cute story. It was terrible. I wanted to get my kids back in their school district, so I had to do that. And I had to leave that house. I was like, I can't live here. This is just a mess. And I met the guy next door in the driveway.
Uh-oh.
And he and I have been together for 12 years now.
Wow.
Okay, so it's like truly I couldn't script this. I can't make this up. But he was divorced too, and I just was like, oh, this is whatever. And so we started dating, and then the rest is history. So
you're like a story for my next novel.
Okay.
When I write novels, I usually collect the stories that inspire me to start something for people to read.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when people read things, they don't realize that they're actually stories that happen in a real life, that are put in a format that maybe a little bit, here and there, but actually things like the love stories, my favorite type of the stories, how you met the next door neighbor, the billionaire, fall in love with somebody that doesn't have any career, is beautiful. So what is your love story consist now?
So our story well, we're most happy to be grandparents, to be honest. So
Wow.
Lou has 3 kids, 2 of them are married, and 2 of them each have 2 children that are about the same age. And so we're just love being grandparents, but we're still doing what we do. We're still working, we're still going to the gym, we're still doing all the things that we do. We travel a lot. And I have to say, being grandparents to these children, I'm May May, which is French for Grammy.
Yeah. Oh.
So my French teacher was May May, and so I decided that's who I was going to be a long time ago. And to hear them say that, May May, call me out, it's just like a thrill.
Yes.
So to me, that's everything.
So what would you teach to your children about marriage?
So it's funny, my daughter who lives in Chicago, Lilia, she's 26, and she has a boyfriend, and he's from Pakistan, okay? And they met in college at Bard in New York.
Yes.
And so he's Muslim, she went to Catholic school, her father's culturally Jewish, so she's kind of a mix. But she just moved in with him over the summer. Yeah. And they've been dating for like 5 years. And the first thing I said to her was, you don't have to marry him. You can live with him, and you can decide you don't want to marry him. You can live with him and decide you do want to marry him, but you don't ever have to marry him if you don't want to. You can change your mind at any moment. Yes. So I have this kind of like escape hatch message to my children, like, if you see a red flag that just cannot stop waving, you're out.
Yes.
So I give them a lot of permission to listen to themselves and to be true. I truly want my children to live the life they want to live, whatever it looks like. And so that's kind of how I say it to them.
Yeah, I know marriage is not ultimate answer. When I just figure out that marriage is not and should not be final destination, you have to build the vision. What do you want to do your life next chapter together? So, because I don't know if you read Bible, but Bible says that man without vision shall perish. It doesn't say that man without education or hobby shall perish without vision. If you marry a man, or you are with a man that has no vision for the future, lives day by day, but let's see what happens, you will end up exactly with let's see what happens story and a time lag. So we want to make sure that we really pay attention to the visionary. Visionary vision, and the man who usually uses the word we instead of I, he's a visionary.
And it's like what you're describing is a team. We have to be on the same team. And I was never on the same team with my spouse. We were not on the same team, okay? So it's like, well, there you have it. And so I just have higher expectations for my daughters because I totally agree with you. Marriage is not like, Paris is a destination to return to again and again. Marriage is not a destination, right? It's a way to build a life if you keep building.
Yes.
So I think maybe for my girls' generation, I think maybe there's a different attitude about it. You know, I don't have to get married. Do you? No, you really kind of don't. Well, what if you live together for 10 years? You still don't have to get married if you don't want to.
Yep.
If you do want to, that's fine. But I think my daughters have realistic eyes about it.
Yes.
Because they went through a divorce of their parents.
Unfortunately, yes. And divorce is not something that we inquire or like we think, okay, we get married and then we get divorced in 5 years and then we remarry. We don't have the plans like this. People genuinely do not get married to get divorced.
Right.
Life happens, strike happens. We got out from that particular things. But let me shift the gear a little bit. I was privileged to be your amazing coach for the TEDx. Let me know about you as an inspiring speaker. Who are you as a speaker? What is your primarily message to the masses? And where can we find you to hire you?
Well, thanks for asking. So my message to the masses, I have 2 messages because I'm working on 2 different TEDx talks right now. One of them is about change and transformation. I wrote a book about change and transformation in 2020. Change for the better, transform for the best. Get right with yourself. And I have a message that change, unless you're talking about changing clothes, change is 1.0 level improvement. This idea that change, I'm gonna finally make a change and then I'm there. No. Change is very one-dimensional. Change comes from a dark place. People who are happy don't make a change. They stay the same. They want everything to continue status quo. So first of all, we have something dark that's getting us to do that. Transformation, on the other hand, comes from a bright place, a God place, an inner strength place. I want so much more. So on the one hand, we're going out of the dark tunnel, and then we're invited by this bright white light of like, I want all of this, okay? I think most people stop at change, okay? So that would be like somebody who is an alcoholic saying, well, I just quit drinking, so now I'm good. No, you're not. You've got to heal your relationships. You got to heal your self-image. You got to forgive yourself. You got to other people ask for forgiveness. That's transformation. And so this happens all day long. Nature transforms. Spring transforms into summer, right? So we're mirrors of the universe, right? And I always say the wind changes direction.
Yes.
So can you. And you don't have to explain it to anybody. You don't have to ask permission. And then my other TEDx talk topic is about women in midlife. I'm going to be 59 in a couple of weeks.
God.
Okay. So women in midlife, 50 and beyond, go bold. This is your chance to not take baby steps. This is your chance to say, I did everything that I was supposed to. I was supposed to marry a nice guy, and I did, and look how it turned out. I was supposed to raise a family, and I did. And then even though I did all the right things, look what happened to him, look what happened to her, and da-da-da. I was supposed to do this thing in my career, but now I hate that job. And so I, as a coach, I do motivational speaking and life coaching. As a coach, I have so many women in their 50s who are like, I don't like what I'm doing anymore. I said, quit doing it. Quit doing it. Because we don't have anything to prove anymore. Now it's about us.
Yes.
Now it's about, you know what, I'm going to do this for me. I have nothing to prove. And secret, we don't care anymore.
Yep.
We don't care what other people think. Whereas we had a lot of time. I grew up in the Catholic Church. I'm still, I'm Roman Catholic. You should do this, you should do that. This is what it should look like. This is how it should go. And now it's like, I'm done with that. I did all that, and look where it got me. Nowhere, or not good enough. And now our standards are, I'm going to do what I want. And it's a little sassy, I'll be honest, and it's really freeing. It's super freeing.
It's very freeing,
and I see this with all of my women in their 50s. They're all like, I want to do my passion project for my career now. I'm motivated by something very different. Excuse me. And so I'm like, yeah, you're singing my song. Come to my TEDx talk.
So yes, I like what you said about transformation. It's kind of different. We don't have to stop in the transformation. Sometimes people are locked in. We do live our lives by scripted. We as a women, we have a script. You get up, you grow up, you become a mother, you give up the birth to the children, you cook, you clean, you do so many things, and it becomes exhausting to us. Our generation mostly look at us as a selfish being when we like, let me do my life for myself for a reason, for at least for once. And we are being labeled as a selfish human beings just because we actually want to care about ourselves. We actually want to go after our ambitions, our dreams, our goals to make my life happen. For some reason, it looks so bad for them because we are not living our lives by scripts anymore. We want to live the life to the fullest, the liberating, like you said.
Wear what you want, say what you want,
Yep.
do what you want, go where you want to go. If you don't do it now, I hate to say this, but I'm running out of runway. Okay, if I live to 100, I'm at halfway there. Okay, there is no way. There's more in front than there is behind me, and I think there's a little bit of that. It's not morbid, it's not macabre, it's just like, wait a second. If I don't do it now, when am I going to do it?
Yes, exactly.
Listening to you talk, people said to me, "Oh, I'm sorry you're divorced." I remember that, and I said, "Don't be sorry." I mean, I don't think there's a merit badge for it, but I'm not sorry. I'm sorry that it had to happen.
Yes.
But the only prerequisite to divorce is marriage.
Yes.
Anybody who gets married could get a divorce.
Yes.
Because there's so many things that come up in life that you're like, oh, I didn't see this coming and I don't know how we're handling it. So I'm like, no, don't be sorry for me. No, I was brave to do what I had to do.
It does take a courage. I tell it to every woman who is divorcing. please do not let anyone look down at you, and don't let anyone feel sorry for you, because it does take a courage and a huge leap of faith, because at this moment you have nothing in your tank to run, no fuel left, and for you to even make a decision, you have no place to go, nothing to for the future. You don't even have action plans. What's happened? You're still doing it because you just, I better do this. I have an unknown life than the life that I have right now.
Yes.
I will trade it in a heartbeat.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. And it's like, whoa. Yes.
What's next marathon for you?
Next marathon. I really think it's landing my TEDx stage. I submitted my application yesterday to this stage in Breckenridge, Colorado, because their theme for 2025 is metamorphosis.
Yes.
And so I'm like, okay, well, duh, I've already submitted an application to them, but they said you could submit up to 3 of them. So I submitted a second one yesterday. And I would just love to wow that stage, wow that audience with this vision of personal transformation. We all have it in us. It's like a figure 8 symbol. And I think about this, you know, I teach yoga and qigong. So qigong, Chinese gentle movement, okay? So they talk about everybody having 3 treasures in them. It's your heart, your mind, and your body. Right. So we have this all the time. We're like, we have to use them and get them in alignment. So it's always like the heart and the mind are in a figure 8. I'm thinking it, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it, I'm thinking it. And then use your body. Because we can't, just like I was talking to your daughter, we can't just talk about it.
Yes.
You can't just talk about your dream. Okay, then you're just doing fantasies. We have to actually take action, right? It's like saying, oh, well, I changed. I don't smoke anymore, but I'm bitter about it. Well, yeah, you did change. You maybe changed a little bit for the better, but you got to do something with that extra nervous energy you got now, right? You got to transform that into a peace. Like, I'm okay that I'm not smoking anymore because I feel better now.
Yes.
Right? You can't be the person who's eating, 500 suckers or candies a day because you're not smoking. You still have that oral addiction. You're like, you didn't change for no. We're not better now, right? So I really think, So
I think the way that you put about the transformation. I think it's very important, and I do realize that, and I agree with you that mind, body, and spirit are very connected to everything that we do. When our body is aching, it does affect our emotions, the heart, and everything with it. And the same way, when our mental mind is not in the right place, it does affect the body. I tell that to everybody. Your body hears everything your mind says.
Your body's eavesdropping on your mind.
Yes.
And it takes it seriously.
It does very much, and that's why most of the diseases that we have, according to the Mayo Clinic Institution, they say if 40% of it comes from the mind, the way that we reciprocate, the way we talk to ourselves, the stress, devastation, depression, everything that we eat, it is the pure reflection of the way how our body is responding to the disease. So, like, if we can only fix that, 40% of our patients will not be even our patients anymore. And that's why, being very intentional with protecting our here, and of course the body is going to pay off the long run to you. So
the mindset work is incredible, because what you think, you believe.
Yes.
Thousands and thousands of thoughts a day. Most of what you think today, you thought yesterday. So there's the problem. And we think what we're thinking is true, whether it is or not.
Yes.
We believe it. Perception is reality.
Yes.
And so I always tell my clients, we are going to dismiss unhelpful thoughts. Okay? So it might be true, I hate COVID. That's true. It's not helpful.
Yes. Exactly.
So what? So dismiss that thought. So when it pops up into your head, and I think people don't realize you can dismiss unhelpful thoughts. You get better at it.
Yes.
Right? You have to practice it. But you're like, oh, that thought is coming up. And you're like, I choose not to think that. I'm going to challenge it with something else. Even if I hate COVID, I'm still living my life. I'm living my life. I'm living my life. That's a helpful thought, as opposed to, I hate COVID. And so your body keeps score. It's a placeholder for all those thoughts. 90% of doctor's visits are stress related.
Absolutely.
Primary care doctor visits. So it's like, okay, I'm feeling it, I'm thinking it. It's like, and I say, get it out of here.
Yep.
Like if your body is a temple, get that trash
Yes.
out.
Exactly. I meant to this especially, and if people will only realize that, like a few days ago, I got a little bit under the weather. It's because I had a very negative feeling about something that happened, and I allowed it to happen. And when I realized, I'm like, I know exactly why I'm under the weather today, because that emotion that I carried or allowed that to carry in my life, not gonna happen. So I detoxed that thought, that emotional baggage that I was carrying, and immediately the day after, it's gone. It was completely gone. So everything we think, it does relate to how we feel.
It manifests.
Manifests.
And absolutely. And look at that transformation power. It's like I have control over my thoughts. That means I have control over my feelings.
Yes.
I have control over my thoughts and my feelings, and then I have control over my actions. I choose not to be sick. I'm not getting sick.
Yes.
I'm not doing that. I'm not holding this in. I'm not holding that trauma, that toxicity, whatever it is. And it's powerful. I don't think people I didn't know about this. I didn't know about this in my 20s and my 30s. I started learning about this in my 40s.
Yep.
And it's like, I wish I knew it earlier, right? It is a superpower that we all have.
Yes, absolutely. And I like that you said about superpower. This is your camera number 3, Karen. Talk to the woman, a woman who is struggling in her marriage, who is exhausted, suffocating, and has no hope. What would you like to tell her right now?
I would like to tell her, darling, you are not alone. There is a world of women who have been where you are, who have felt the way you feel, and who have managed to say enough is enough. And as hard as it may be to suffer through all of that, personally, I was worried about the shame of it, okay? It's worth it because you're worth it. You are worth the effort it takes to get something so much better than what you have been living through. And even if it feels really dark at the moment, I can promise there is a way better light at the end of that tunnel, and you're worth it. And just like that lady in the locker room said to me, you can do it! One day at a time, getting to that moment, and you get your freedom back. That's what I would say.
Yeah, freedom is costly. So that's why when you receive it, please cherish it and don't let anyone take it away from you, because you paid a big price for that freedom. Price of your family, a price for somebody else's happiness with you. It is a big price that you pay for it. So please cherish everything that you have in your household, in your life, and be intentionally mindful to protect your mind, your body, your spirit, so you will be not just thriving, but striving and going after your ambitions and your dreams. Because if you're not happy, no one else will be happy around you, because your happiness is transparent and contagious. So don't spread a disease, spread a joy, and spread your happiness. This is Ilona, your favorite host from ILONA TV, where stories change lives. We will see you next time.